WTF, we're doing a podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Michelle. This is 50. Welcome to What the 50. Join us on our continued journey to simplify our lives.
We will seek the answers from the experts and offer tips, tools, and techniques to live your life with confidence and joy. Are we ready?
Let's go.
Hi, Mish.
Hi, Nikki.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah.
Parenting.
Parenting, yes.
Parenting.
So we're wrapping up this season.
I've actually enjoyed this season quite a bit. I learned a lot.
It felt like it was short.
I know. In the beginning, when we were planning, though, it felt like it was going to be a lot, but it just went.
Yeah, it was good. I felt that it was a good season of really
Yes, I enjoyed our guests a lot.
Yeah.
I did.
So we started out with Tania McDonald.
Yes. The TikTok mom.
The TikTok mom.
I loved us talking with her and just learning about her two children, Simon and Shari, and watching them and how they just bring out this whole parent-child relationship. It's Jamaican style, but I'm sure it happens in other cultures as well. But it's just really interesting, and it's just enough for you to watch.
Yes, so Lisa just recently reposted one of the TikToks.
Oh, really?
You saw it?
No.
It was the one where Tania calls home and says, "Hey, can you put the rice on the stove for me?" You know the one, right?
And it's on the stove. Simon is like, "What? It's on the stove."
Exactly. But maybe that's not a term that people in overseas would say. Put it on the stove.
Yeah, they'll probably said, "Cook the rice." But that's what we would have said.
Right, for sure. Yeah. Sometimes you have to think about your
Jamaican culture.
Does it really? Do they say this overseas? Do they do this overseas?
But his facial expressions crack me up every time.
And hers.
And Tania's as well. And Tania's as well. I loved it.
Well, I love the fact that they do something together.
Yes.
And it's as adult children in a professional sense.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, both of our DNAs are kind of are from a family business.
Right.
So I know you and I are both always talking business with our kids.
How to make it, how to do it. Yes.
Yeah. And I always dream of setting up a business for the family. So
yes.
One of these days.
But Tania has done that pretty well. And I think that her children I'm sure they're enjoying that relationship on another level and sharing their space with us.
Yeah.
And I think the reviews have been good, and the views themselves have been numerous. So,
yes. So we definitely need to put that link down below.
For sure, we will.
For sure.
And then there's Pooja.
Yes, Pooja.
Pooja was quite interesting. I know you went off and started watching the Netflix series.
Indian matchmaking.
Which
I have to admit, I'm now on to Indian weddings. Anyhow, but that's another story.
But it was fun talking with her and learning about her culture, which is so very different. An arranged marriage
versus a love marriage.
It's one thing to read about it, but it's another thing to actually talk to somebody who has experienced it.
Right.
And what I loved about Pooja, though, was that she doesn't believe she has to pass that on to her children. Her children don't have to be in an arranged marriage. If they choose to, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine.
Right.
So I like her take on it. And I also loved what she said about her parents and how they encouraged her, because they're coming from that's their culture in India,
of course.
But I really loved how they encouraged her to be a strong woman, to make her own decisions, and just pass that on to her girls.
But let's be honest, as parents, we do wish we could choose the partner.
There's a little part of us that we want to do that, because we want to create that. We want to make sure they're making the right decision.
Of course.
But we absolutely can't.
No, I know, definitely.
The reality is we just can't.
But I think that Pooja's would love to be able to have some helping hand in that. And I think it was cute to see, how does she combine her cultural expectations with her modern day children's expectations.
I think she has done pretty well with combining both of them. I think so. Based on what she shared with us, I think she's done a pretty good job with that. She's balanced it, I think.
Yes, for sure. But Indian matchmaking, wow.
I I have to get onto it.
But Pooja did say it wasn't really how it goes.
100%, yeah. But it gives us a little idea.
But beyond Indian matchmaking, the Indian weddings, ooh, they are fabulous.
I actually got invited to one years ago. You know who they are. She's a former guest, actually, and Julie.
Right.
But I didn't get a chance to go. I was
man.
so annoyed. Our entire complex was invited.
Okay.
And it's over a couple of days and it's quite fancy, but I missed it. But anyway, next time.
Yeah, next time. And then we had Min
and Parker.
Min and Parker.
That was interesting as well.
Well, first of all, we were originally going to just have Min, but Parker really wanted to come on.
And he did a great job.
And truthfully, Michelle and I were very nervous about having him on because we didn't want to say the wrong thing. But he really made us feel like
he absolutely did from the get-go.
Right.
And he told us that, there's nothing we're going to say that's going to be wrong, and he'll correct us along the way.
Right.
Fortunately, I think we did pretty well because he put us at ease.
Of course.
Right away, and I think we did well. It was I was very, very touched listening to Min.
I agree.
And hearing her saying that, this is my child. And unconditionally, I'm going to love my child.
Of course.
So there's a lesson there because sometimes, as you said before, we have a perception of what we would like our children to be and how we want them to turn out.
Of course.
But we really just don't have full control.
No.
But we still have to love our child.
Exactly.
Irrespective of what they've chosen to do or become, we just have to love our children.
And we say it often too that, I don't know how that parent could do it. But I think when it comes to your child, you will have to find
a way,
the love to be able to say, you know what,
and that's what it is. It's the love, because I can't imagine it was an easy journey.
No, of course not.
I'm sure they had a lot of questions along the way, but I think Parker, and he expressed it, what helped him was just how his mother responded to him and she listened to him.
Right.
And he felt he could go to her.
Right.
Because I know there are lots of stories that don't go like that.
Of course.
So I think that's a huge lesson for whatever it is that our child will come to us with. We don't know, right? We don't know.
And parenting, I think that's why it's one of the hardest jobs.
It's a marathon.
Yes.
It's not a sprint. You're always a parent.
Right.
We don't stop parenting at 18.
No,
we're
for sure.
Always going to be a parent. And you know what? I know, we're going to talk about our other two guests in a minute, but I think that with parenting, there's no rule book.
Definitely.
So, and how you parent will be different from how I parent.
Course.
And it's based on our values and so on. And the next thing is, fortunately, there are lots of your podcasts now that can help us and give us some ideas of what to do, but nothing is written in stone.
No.
And we parent differently from one child to the next as well.
Of course. And a different time.
Absolutely.
With different things around, like I'm sure like for Zacho, there's way more social media influence than there was for JP. Same with Max and Kayla.
Yes.
So we have to adjust our
we have to evolve.
Exactly.
We have to evolve as parents. And I think that coming out of our talk with Min, I think we also have to recognize diversity.
Of course.
And we have to teach our children
the tolerance
to recognize and tolerate diversity, because this is what we have to deal with now. It's not cookie cutter at all.
I think thankfully, Jamaica is really evolving, and our kids are way more tolerant. Than
and that's actually one of the good things about social media.
Of course.
So there's good and there's bad, right?
Of course.
But with social media, it has exposed us to the world. And I think that it lends itself to conversations.
Of course. Which we have so many, like, oh my gosh, it started in my household with the he, him.
Right. So
he, him. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So, and that's when Max,
Max
and his experience.
Right.
So I think that, having those constant conversations, guess what? We can't knock ourselves.
No.
Because we'll make mistakes.
They're always telling me, Mom, you can't say that.
Yes.
Okay.
We've made mistakes in our parenting styles, things that we say, things that we do.
Of course.
But the beauty about it is, because it's a marathon, we can try to fix it. We can apologize to our children.
Of course.
We can do it differently. JP has taught me a lot of stuff about parenting, believe it or not. And I changed my style somewhat when I was with that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He would call me out. Mom, you didn't have to do it that way. And
True.
even now, he still would guide me. Mom, are you
It-
sure that's the way you need to handle it? And he would make me stop and think. And, I said, well, you're right. I didn't have to handle it like that.
It's so true because Max does the same thing with us, with Kaylin. And I even see him saying that to his father
Right,
too. And both of them, they will both call us out and say,
Right,
hey,
right.
you
And
know,
I know,
that's not cool.
and we're both encouraged that with our boys.
Of
And I think
course.
that's so important because they're going to be parents one day too. So hopefully, whether their own kids or nieces, nephews, they're going to influence younger ones at some point. And I just think it's important for us to just continue having that conversation because we keep learning as we go
And be
along.
open. Like
Yes.
we learn from our boys something new practically
Every
every day.
Yes.
And we have to be open. And then Michelle and I will come and say, hey, so what do you think about this?
Yes,
and we
yes,
talk about
yes,
it
yes.
among ourselves. It's like,
Oh, okay.
And we help each other through it. We Google it.
No, there's a
So
lot to learn. There's always something to learn.
Yeah. And as what you say is true, is like parenting for me might be different from parenting to you. And you can't judge each other.
Absolutely
Because
not.
we just don't know what other people's circumstances are.
And we have to change our parenting style sometimes,
Of
depending on
course.
what's going on. And it's just it's a journey that has a lot of bumps along the way, but it is one of the it's the best thing that I've ever thought of doing.
My
I'll
mother,
never do it any differently.
of course. And my mother would always say, don't judge until you have a child of your own.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
So,
For sure. For sure.
As everybody knows, that parenting journey
it's tough.
is tough.
And there's no perfection. There's no perfect child, no perfect parent, and we just have to love them.
And I think too, what's happening to Michelle and I is that we're both kind of getting to the end of our direct parenting. Michelle has another few years.
Holding on to that
with
Zacho, yes.
But Kaylin goes
Emptiness,
off. Yes.
Yeah.
And Michelle, I keep on seeing all these things coming up on my Instagram about when you're a young parent, how to parent and do this and do that. I'm like, damn, I didn't do that.
Yes.
But,
well, that's good. The conversations have evolved over time. And there are more now. As I said, there are now podcasts on parenting. And although it's not going to be exactly how you want to do it or have to do it, depending on the situation, but at least it's there. It guides you.
Yeah. The thing is that's so crazy. I'm going to tell you the story, is that Michelle and I have been talking about parenting this day, in these days, day and ages. Parents are so reluctant to let their children feel any hurt or discomfort, right? We talk about that, like we're trying to just make it all good for our kids.
It's not the perfect world,
right? I honestly try not to do that, but I have the ultimate story for you because I'm on this. I follow this thing on Facebook, Grown and Flown Parents. Anyhow, and they had this story about this woman who she came on the Grown and Flown and said, hey, tribe, I need your help because I don't know what to do. My 17 or 18-year-old, he sleepwalks. And when he sleepwalks, he sometimes goes and pees in the corner.
Oh no.
But she says, I don't want him to feel uncomfortable or upset, so I've never told him.
Oh no.
She says, sometimes he'll come and see me scrubbing and I'll say, oh, someone peed here. And he'll say, that's crazy.
Because who could have peed there?
Right. But imagine, she is doing her son no favors because now this son is going off to college.
And will do the same thing. And that son will have a partner and do the same thing.
But he'll be upset to know that his parents knew this all along and never tried to get him help.
The good thing, though, is she's speaking to the tribe.
Yeah.
She's speaking to the tribe, and I hope the tribe will provide some information and help her to deal with it because she has to deal with it. Yeah. But again, that's coming from the perfectionist thinking.
Yeah, like I don't want you to feel hurt.
Yeah, everything is perfect. And that's probably coming from a little bit of ignorance, which I guess we all have. Yeah. And we're trying to protect our children as best as possible. But in so doing, we can make matters worse.
Of course. Can you imagine if that happened to our boys
and we never adjust?
And we never told them?
Oh my gosh.
They would be so mad at us. Of course.
But the thing is, when she does that, that's sort of protecting the child and overdoing it. That child can't adjust.
Exactly.
And, she's really setting them up for failure. At the end of the
Well.
day, that's gonna be tough. Because can you imagine he goes to his dorm room and does that? The embarrassment.
Gosh, but anyhow, we got off topic.
We're not
there,
judging. We're not judging. We're
know.
just saying.
but we're just saying. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we had another guest who was who's someone that we know pretty well, and she's incredible in terms of how she organizes her life, and that's Tanisha Clover.
Right.
You know, as we said, we saw how she co-parents with her husband and managing 3 children, both of them being pilots.
Piloting, yeah.
Yes.
And she works for Caribbean Airlines, and he is a pilot for Amazon.
Yes.
So
I still
So
marvel at how they do it.
he does 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. But
I still marvel at how they do it. But they do it and it works. And as I said to her, every time we see her, she just looks absolutely fabulous.
and well put together. And they are very active parents.
Active parents,
Because we
yes.
see them at school and
Yes,
they are involved.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's one of the things that kids will always remember, the time that they took.
Speaking of that, our final guest was Avery.
Right.
And Avery grew up in a single dad home.
Right.
And one of the things that she mentioned was that she would have liked to have changed was spending more time with her dad.
Right.
But, you know, I'm sure her dad was doing what he thought was best for her. But good thing she had the village.
Of course.
So I don't think we have a lot of village parenting going on anymore. What do you think?
I don't think village in the traditional sense
Definitely
of
not.
parenting, but you know, we are our village. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, certainly not in a traditional sense. But I guess it's a more modern way, and you know, life has just changed.
Well, culturally, maybe it could be like maybe in different cultures, like in pockets of different cultures within
that would remain, but certainly for the Jamaican setting,
right?
I think that, you know, things have really just changed somewhat. But the good thing is, we, as you said, we are a village,
right?
You know, so we have our village, and I think we have to lean on our village.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And you and I are a village. We bounce things off each other all the time.
And don't be afraid to ask for help and say, hey, Nikki, pick up for me, please, or type of thing. Yes.
But we have to also remember that I think sometimes persons may hesitate because they're afraid of judgment. Because even that parent that wrote on Grown and Flown,
yes,
you know, I'm sure there may be somebody like, oh my gosh, how could she do that? But none of us know 100% what
the story
or
is.
what. Yeah, we're really just trying this thing out.
And I think too, as that's something that Kaylin once said to me when I was saying something to him. I have no idea what the scenario was, but he says, Mom, do you want me to do this for me, or do you want me to do this for you? And I had to think about it and say, you know what? Because
we know Kaylin is wise beyond his years, right?
But sometimes, you know, as parents, we kind of like want our kids to be this or do this, or not to be this or not do that for our own benefit.
But I think that's human nature, though. Right. I think, but the good thing is, Kaylin was able to call you out on it. And what is even better is that you sat and thought about it.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, you know, you could have that parent that says, how dare you say that?
Exactly.
How dare you approach me with that? This is what I'm saying you should do and how you should do it. So
I know better.
Right.
Or in my day.
Back in my time.
Yes. And it was better back then, right?
Yeah. I know, exactly. Throws that at me sometimes. I know what you're going to say. Back in your time. Back when you were my age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's different. Okay. It's different times, and we take lessons from all times.
Of course. And as we have said, you know, we just have to lean on each other and learn from each other. But speaking of parents, though, let's talk, you know, because it's our parenting series and our parents have influenced us in many ways. What would you say would be like one of your favorite memories of your parents?
I think for my parents, they had a very open house. So they were very hospitable. They would always be having like a Lions Club meeting or a lodge meeting. They would entertain. Like my father, I think, lived for entertaining. My mother too, in her way, although she would be like, I'm cooking, but no. But they really were open and hospitable, and it didn't care who you were. They would bring you home or bring you in. I don't know if I've ever told you the story that once my father was at the airport coming in and he brought somebody home that was in transit. That's just how they were,
Bless
right?
him.
So their no table was too small for them. They would always make room. They would always have enough room. Like, you want to stay and eat? Sure.
No problem. Yeah.
That was
Our house, for me, my parents loved to entertain. They had a business, so they felt they were entertaining at the pharmacy all the time. Because
Okay.
friends stopped in and
Oh,
would have their
yes, chatting,
conversations,
yeah.
always chatting. But at home, my parents, entertaining was a big deal as well. In terms of daddy's birthday, I mean, it was a given that would be New Year's Day, was a party at our house.
Right.
My parents loved soca, and we always had soca parties. But what I love though is that my parents always taught me to be independent. They always taught me to be an independent thinker. My parents were older as well, right? So
were mine.
yeah.
Yes.
So they just allowed me to. They didn't hover,
Right.
and I think they were authoritative. So they taught me how to make my own decisions and to stand in my own and on my own. I think I would have loved to have spent more time with them as well, but
Yes,
they
for sure.
were busy at the pharmacy, but I was at the pharmacy too. So I
Right.
think they felt we were all together, whether it's at the pharmacy, at home, at church. But I really have a lot of fond memories of the entertaining
Right.
because they love to entertain. There was always music in our house, always. We had speakers throughout the house.
Right.
And I think I've passed that on to the children as well because they see me entertaining and they know love to entertain.
Right.
But like you, my home was always open too. And I have that same style at our house now.
Right.
Bring them come.
Yes.
I love it.
That.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that too. But the thing is too, I think that I also remember a lot traveling with my parents.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I think that has something that I know, traveled with your parents a
I
lot
did.
too. And those memories traveling like are priceless for me.
And you're doing the same thing.
Yes. Because, I don't know.
I want to tell you, speaking of travel, Mommy at 98 said to me yesterday, "You think I can still go to Miami?" Mom, I'm not sure, but let's see. Because she doesn't like to keep quiet. She likes to be on the move.
So you're going to take her to Miami?
I'm not sure about that. But that's
Can
what
you
she said
take
to
her
me.
to Montego Bay?
That's what she said to me yesterday. She wants to go to Miami.
If you take her to Oteris or Montego Bay, it looks like foreign now.
She may feel that's where she is.
No, we won't lie to
She
her.
wants to be on a plane. Just wants to be on a plane. So let's see.
Take her.
Anyway, so that's our parenting series.
Yes.
And we just maybe give a little snippet from the next season.
Right. But before we end, we should say, I think, repeat Avery's tips, which I think is very common throughout all the parents that we had.
For sure.
And she was, okay, so we approached Avery because we wanted the approach of parenting from a young adult.
Yes.
And what that experience for her is, and as she was getting into the age of maybe having her own family, what she would do differently or do the same. And her tips was to spend the time. That was a big thing for her. Take the time and spend the time because, as we know, you can never get time back.
Time is precious. Yeah.
You can always make more money or the money will come back. Listen to your kids. And the last one was trust them.
Yes.
If you parented them and you parented them with your values, just trust that they're going to do
the right thing. But you know what? It was great getting that from Avery as a young person who is, she's giving us her perspective from another angle.
Right.
And I thought it was really, really great to hear it because, we think we're doing the best way we know. But it's always good to hear from them as well.
You think we're doing, right or wrong.
Right or wrong.
Right.
It's good to hear from them as well. So it was really fun having her on.
Yeah, it was good. But yeah, so
this is it. Right. So that's it.
And happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. And season 8 is coming up.
Season 8's coming up and it should be a good one.
Yeah. So big up to all our fathers, the single fathers, the fathers who are co-parenting and fathers who are parenting other children.
Right.
Yeah. So Take care. Next
Okay.
time.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of What the 50. Please show your love and encouragement by sharing, subscribing, and leaving a review wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to like and follow us on Instagram. And please join our active Facebook group at what.the50.